This is only 1 hour away from where I used to live in Sassuolo. I spend a lot of my time here in Emilia-Romagna over the last 4 years. Place that I love. So many restaurants around the area that I've been to. So, yeah, I always felt very loved from all the tifosi, from all the people around this area. So it almost feels like a second home to me.
We've shown that the Williams is a good car this year. We've heard what you have to say about whether a bit of performance might result in a podium. Are you happy with the response you've got from the team on that the focus really is on 2026 and kind of
yes.
That's it?
I think on the short term, yes. On the long term, I've already told James, I would like to see a team that is able to do both at the same time. I think that's more for the 2-3 years time when we have to fight for the current car but also fight for the future car, and that's what top teams are doing this year, for example. Still means we might get a bit of an advantage on the amount of time we spend on the wind tunnel, but I'm a big believer that a Formula 1 team should be able to do both. We are not at that stage yet. That's why we have also decided to full focus on 26 to keep accelerating the program and accelerating that Williams transformation that we're in the middle of. But I fully back it, even though in the short term I wish we could develop this car, because as you could see in Miami, we're quicker than Ferrari, quicker than potentially Mercedes if I wouldn't have picked up damage. So we're not far in.
Scintillating performance from you and Williams in Miami. You said after the race you needed to sort of reverse engineer that performance to see why you were so good. How's that process been, and what are your expectations for this weekend in Imola?
Yes, we did in many ways. We talked about it. I think we kind of understand why, for the most part. A lot of parts of the track, different corners that suited our car, but also just low downforce, long straights which were kind on tyres, so you could push quite hard. These kind of things always help. Coming into these next few races, though, there's not much transition in terms of Miami isn't that similar to Imola or whatnot. We're going to some older school tracks now, so a bit more bumpy, a bit more difficult to optimize the cars. So let's see how it goes. We got a street track, a low downforce track this weekend in Imola, and also a high downforce track in Barcelona. So we're still continuing that very diverse track selection. So
confident do you feel about what is coming with the people you have, with the facilities you have and everything in the team?
I'm very positive, for sure. I think 2026 is a new opportunity for us, new regulations, new factory, and Adrian Newey in the team. So we have all the ingredients to have a good championship, but you never know until you put the car on track. At the moment, we have to focus on this year, which is very challenging for us at the moment. We are not fast enough, and we need to improve those results.
Fernando, is patience the most important issue this year you have to have?
Probably yes. You can not underestimate that. When we race every weekend, even if we feel positive about next year, if we see some good signs, with the new people, the new factory, new wind tunnel, etc., we still have to race every weekend, with a car that is not competitive at the moment, and it will not be too developed either, because the focus is on 26. So, yeah, you have to be patient, you have to be focused and have the discipline of delivering everything you have on the car, Saturday and Sunday. But then from Monday to Thursday, try to be a little bit patient and wait for the better.
Europe.
Yes, we are.
You mentioned after Miami that you're seeing glimpses of good pace in the Sauber. How are you yourself and you within the team working to make those good glimpses last?
Well, we're working, we're pushing behind the scenes in the factory like everybody else. We have an update coming for Barcelona, so hopefully, that will give us a step forwards in terms of performance. And it's been a little track dependent as well.
And with that track dependence you just mentioned, what are the expectations here then on a pretty old school, unforgiving track?
Yeah, it is. But love driving here. It's definitely very iconic. A lot of history here, so that always feels nice to come like an old school circuit like Imola. It's a little bit more medium speed bias, I would say, which I think is maybe a little bit more difficult for us, but let's find out. Obviously, a couple of new things. The C6 tire for the first time. I think ever. You know, the softest compounds we've ever had with the Pirelli. So we'll see how that goes, and a few things to explore.
Rookie drivers this season, they have been under pressure. Liam Lawson had to leave pretty early from Red Bull, and now Jack Doohan in Alpine.
Yeah.
Would you imagine, this is a quite new thing in Formula One, that you share a seat, and at least they are saying that for 5 races now, but how would you feel as a Jack Doohan? Can you go into his head as one of the most experienced driver on the paddock as now?
Yeah, it's obviously tough. I think, you know, even when Jack started there, you know, over the winter, it was always obviously with Franco luring around, you know, it was, I think, a tough environment, you know, to start in as a rookie. You know, feel sorry for him in a way. You know, he didn't obviously have much time to prove and to grow, and you know, I know how difficult it is as a rookie to come in, and you know, being in such a tight mid-pack, you know, it's hard to, you know, impress and, you know, really convince. So, you know, that's typical Formula One, very cutthroat, you know, very unforgiving in these days. I think especially in that team at that moment.
Back to Imola from the feature race last year. You're now doing it in Formula One machinery, though. How are you approaching the weekend?
Yeah, I mean, you know, I won both races in F2 in Melbourne. It didn't turn out really good, so it doesn't really matter, to be honest. You know, it's 2 different worlds, but definitely it's a track I enjoy. Yeah, it gives me maybe a bit more confidence, and it's a home Grand Prix for the team, so it feels a bit better.
And finally, one of the home races as well for the team. What does that mean? How big a weekend is this?
Yeah, it's nice. There's going to be a grandstand for the employees of the team, so I'm going to give a big wave every time I come by. And yeah, it's great atmosphere. It's the first European race for me in Formula One. It's nice because we have the energy station. My room is a bit better, so I mean everything is a bit nicer than faraway races. So, yeah.
What is so special about Imola? Because we might not have it in the long term. So what would you miss if you lose Imola from the calendar?
I would say for me, I don't care about the place or whatever. I just like the layouts. That's what's interesting, and the layout of Imola is special, especially in Formula One cars. In these modern cars, it's really challenging. Can't really make mistakes. Well, it's an old school track, and I really enjoy it. So to lose this track would be a disaster.
Also, since Miami, we'll get to
I played golf for 4 days in Scotland. Yeah, that was pretty.
Did you?
Yeah.
You were playing golf.
It was quite a week, yeah, for sure. Well, it was a family trip. Yeah, I did go. I did win stable 4.
We also saw the resignation as well of Ollie Oakes. How much confidence do you have in the team around you at the moment amidst some turbulence and instability?
I mean, yeah, obviously sad to see Ollie leaves. It was his personal decision, and I got on very well. I think we worked extremely well and closely since he joined last summer. We had a very strong end of the year, and things were very straightforward with him, very transparent, and I like the sort of mindset he brought to the team. So, sad to see him leave. We got to respect his decision and accept it. And Flavio is going to take more duties into the team. It doesn't change the direction or the ambition. Everything remains as business as usual. And just move on with it.
Upgrade coming for you guys in Spain. Obviously, this is kind of through the first quarter or so of your rookie season. What are the big learnings you've taken on so far from Miami, from the races we've had heading into Europe?
I think we're doing, steps ahead as a team. Me as a driver has been a very positive weekends. Sometimes the results, they don't show this exactly. Miami, it did show. Was a good quali, and we were going for a good race, and then unfortunately there was a fail that made me DNF. But I see all the weekends I have done so far, I've learned something very, very good and important, and has been very important for my development. I'm sure when we get more opportunities to score points and to have a car that is performing a little bit better, because we're not that far away, like Miami, we're P13 and fighting for that position. If you have a little bit better, you can be fighting for points.
Miami was great, your best ever Grand Prix qualifying session. Have you found something on the car in qualifying now?
Well, we tested some stuff, made me a bit more comfortable, but we had always the potential in the last races as well. It was just that, again, I think I told you guys this in the previous qualifying interviews as well. I just could not put the lap together sometimes, but the pace has been quite strong since the beginning. And in Miami, I have been able to put most of my laps together, and we show great pace.
You said one of your favorite tracks, Imola track as well, old school track. Can you explain why it is so special? Why do you like it so much?
I think, first of all, to be surrounded by the Italian fans is really always a special feeling. I have somehow a connection to Ferrari, and they have always been super kind to me here and treated me incredibly well. So it's really nice arriving in Italy, and I always look forward to racing in Italy, here, Monza. A lot of the European events, we see a lot of Italian fans anyway, and of course in the Italian races even more. The track itself is a really fun one, old school, punishes mistakes, and that's the type of track that I like, so looking forward to it.
You are part of a very difficult world. Looking at Alpine, Jack is out now. You raced with him, you raced against him. Franco is in now, of course. As a fellow rookie, how tough is it to... you are in this world now, of course, you're doing a very good job, but can you tell us how tough this world and this sport is?
Yeah, I think it shows that we live in a cutthroat sport. Even if I don't really fully agree with what's happened in that team, I think it's a little harsh and a little early to make judgments on someone after only 6 races. But I think Jack did a great job, and I agree that it's very harsh to what happened to him. But it's also a reminder for all of us that we need to be performing at all times, even if I feel like it's a very harsh reminder.